and welcome to Old Ways Gardening and Prepping. My name is Teresa. I'd like to welcome you out to the shed of many names on this windy night after the storms. Now, as you can tell by the title of the video, now if you're squeamish about certain things, you might want to go on and click the video off. But this video is to show you how to preserve the feathers correctly from your wild turkeys, which I was blessed with a wild turkey. Now this is just the wings, the tail, and a bunch of the feathers and the feet, because I make crafts with them. I do Native American artwork, and I'm going to be drying the two wings as fans, and then I'm going to fan out the tail. And I saved as many body feathers as I could. A dear family member was blessed to get him a wild turkey on opening day, and well, I got the carcass, which I'm perfectly fine with, because now the wild turkey is a very sacred bird to my people, the Cherokee, and I'm going to treat it with honor and respect and make it really pretty so that its memory lives on. Now you can also do this with pheasant feathers, chicken feathers, ducks, geese, you name it. But do not use wild birds or birds of prey, because that will send you to federal prison. Now this bird was already tagged and registered that it was shot, so everything is fine. Now what you will need is a good board to stretch it out on. Unfortunately, this isn't the greatest board, but this was a spur of the moment. You're going to want a solid piece of wood big enough to spread the wings and the tail out on, and the feet. Yes, I'm saving the feet, because you can make jewelry and walking stick tops and fan handles and so much more with them. Now you're going to need a hammer. You're going to need some nails. Here, some good nails. And also, very important, this is what you're going to be using to dry the turkey, the feathers, the wing part, and everything of the turkey out with. You're going to need a box of this, if not 2 boxes. I know it's hard to get a hold of. This, unfortunately, was the only box at Lowe's, which I was shocked to see that Lowe's was sold out of it. But I was able to get it. Now, so let's get busy. I'll bring you back here in a bit. And like I said, this isn't for everyone, but this is a learning, teaching video. Now you're going to start out with putting one nail in. We'll make sure that it's in there really good, because as these are drying, you do not want to have them move. You want them to stay still. Now another thing that I do, I didn't bring it with me because like I said, this was a spur of the moment. You're going to want a plastic tote or tub long enough and wide enough to get everything in without the feathers being messed up, so that this can dry, and it's going to take a while for it to dry. Now what the borax does is it pulls all the moisture out, and you want to start a good bed of it on the wood so that it can pull out the moisture, because what you're trying to get rid of is the moisture in the wings and everything. But look how beautiful that is. Now which way I want to do it? I'm going to do it the other way. Let's get the other wing. And you're going to have to work it and make it stick down. You're going to have to put, there we go. You want it in there just enough to hold that wing down. And I don't really worry about straightening the feathers out until later on, because right now my biggest concern is getting these wings dry. There we go. Mush it down a little bit. You don't want to break the bone, but you want to mush it down just a little bit. Trying to get the nails started is more fun than anything. There we go, finally. And see, that's down nice and flat, because when you're making a traditional fan, you want it to lay good and flat. And I'm going to put one more nail on this side to make sure that it stays still. And of course, with the hammering, your borax is going to scoot around. And another good thing about the borax, if there's any mites in it, any mites, it will kill the mites. And of course, it'll soak all the moisture out of the bones. And of course, when you get it about ready to go in the tub, you're going to want to make sure that there's borax all underneath it, and make sure that it's packed in there really good. And of course, once it's dry, you can straighten the feathers back. This is also good. Make sure you get your clumps all broke up. This is also a good way to save your feathers for doing fly fishing lures. You see how beautiful that's going to be? And it's going to be good and dry. Now you're going to want to check it every couple of days in the beginning, because you want to make sure that you have plenty of that borax on it. And make sure you get it all up in the joint as well, because you don't want to take no chances of this spoiling on you, and it will spoil on you if you're not careful. You have to take good care of it. And of course, when I go to put it in I'm getting it done for now, I'll bring the tote by tomorrow and put it all in there. This will get it started drying. You want to try to preserve it as much as possible, as soon as possible, because it don't take long for these to go bad at all. Alright, I'm going to pause the camera, and I'm going to get ready to do the loose feathers, and I'll bring you right back. Okay, now for the loose feathers. Let me adjust the camera. You're going to want to sprinkle a good layer in the bottom of your box or your little tub that you use. I'm sacrificing one of my canning jars because, like I said, this was a spur of the moment thing and I had to hurry. And you're just going to lay your feathers down. Like I said, this will be really good. It'll get rid of all the mites because it'll kill them. It'll suck all their moisture out. And I'll use some of these for earrings. I'll use them on dream catchers. There's so many things I can use them for, and I am so thankful because this is a sacred bird to my people, so I am beyond thankful. And you just want to do a layer of feathers. And like I said, this will dry them all out, cure them, and then they'll be very safe and easy to use. Now what I'm going to do is sprinkle a little bit more on them. You got to remember the quills are already down in the base. Base of the borax that's already down, and you're just going to keep layering them. This was a beautiful big old tom turkey. No, not a job turkey, but a tom turkey. It was a really big turkey too. Big old beautiful turkey. And you want to make sure you get your quills down to where it'll touch that bottom layer or the layer below it. And then we're just going to sprinkle some more. And you don't have to do it too heavy, but just enough. Because that way it'll get on there and touch all the important parts of the feathers. And of course, when I'm done, I'll wash my hands really good. Now, if you're slightly squeamish, which is fine, you can wear gloves. It's not going to hurt a thing. I have gloves, but they're right over there. I love using natural feathers for my crafts. And of course, most of these will be like earrings and hair accessories and on walking sticks. Now the bigger feathers, I'll put them, I make hair ties, or they can be tied to walking sticks, or rear view, for the rear view mirror, hat bands, you name it. And make sure that you bust up any chunks, because you want everything to get covered really good. And so here's a piece that came off the tail that still has some of the tail skin on. You just make sure it gets covered real good. And that'll dry out just perfectly. I'm blessed. I'm going to have plenty of feathers to work with for a while. And of course, if they get smushed, that's okay. What you'll do is you'll rub your fingers together to get your natural oil and be able to straighten the feathers back out without any problem. And you're just going to keep layering. And like I said, you can do this with chicken feathers. And also some of the other feathers can be saved, dried like this, and saved to make arrow fletching. Because with the times coming, we're going to have to be able to save everything. And when I mean everything, I mean everything, as much as possible. And also, if you wanted to, especially the real little bitty down-like feathers, you can do them this same way to dry them out and clean them. Because this does disinfect them too. It deodorizes them, dries them out. And if you've got down, you can use this the same way and make down pillows with it as well. Stuff jackets with them. Make sure that your quills are facing down, especially on this top layer. Okay, and that is how you save all the loose feathers from the breast and the body and the back. And I will bring you back as soon as I'm ready to do the tail. Okay, now on to the tail. You want to try to straighten the feathers out as much as possible without distorting them too much. You want it to look natural. Okay. And we're going to put a bed of borax down. Don't worry if it comes off the sides, because we will scoop that up. Running out of room on this one. This tail is a big, pretty tail. Okay, you want to make sure that you get that back part all the way down. Now, embed it into that borax really good. And we're going to stretch the tail out to here. And you're going to want to nail it down, because as it dries, it will shrink back up if you're not careful. And we're going to want to make sure that you get this whole tail section. Now, there we go. Like I said, don't worry. Just keep working with it. Stretching it. You might have to go in, work it around. I got a couple right here that don't want to behave. And I don't want it to dry with that big gap. But I'm probably going to take these tail feathers loose anyway. There we go. There we go. And of course you can always go back later and brush them out. And you want to get as much of that borax down in there as possible. We'll make sure that borax gets all on the end section. You want to make sure that that dries very well. Because that one end section can mess up your whole tail. And of course you can come back, you want to come back, check it every couple days or every day and make sure that you have plenty of borax on it. I'm going to work it in between the feathers. Oops. Make sure you get it all in there real good. And like I said, make sure you get it good under there. Try not to smoosh your feathers. It's not a hard process to do, but it's a necessary process, or it's not going to preserve for you. And of course, tomorrow I'll come back with my tub and some more borax. And when I put them in the tub, I'm going to cover them even more. Because I'm going to put this in a tub and I'm going to pour borax until it's completely covered. Of course, this would make a beautiful fan as well. They're just hard to carry around, and I prefer the wing fans myself. But you can use this for so many things if you want to. This is another way, as long as you get it 100% dry. This is a wall mount as well if you wanted to. Alright, I'm going to get another piece of wood from over here, and I'll show you how I'm going to do the turkey feet. I'll bring you right back. Okay, I got my board. You want to make sure you have a good, clean, dry board. You don't want a moist or green board. And what you're going to do, take that end of the foot, pack it in there really good. Make sure that it is completely saturated with that borax. Okay, now this is when you can get comical. You could have fun doing it. Now, if you wanted to make a cleaner cut below the knuckle, you can. I wait until it's completely dry before I cut it any shorter. If you wanted to make a necklace or a really pretty topper for a walking staff that you would insert it into, you can take a stone. This is a piece of amethyst, and what you do is you hold it tight, wrap the claws and the toes around it, and what you do is you take string and wrap it really good and tight, and that way as it dries, it will shrink around that stone, and once it's fully dry, then you can take it off the board. Well, you really don't have to put it on a board when you do that. You just use a small tub that'll fit the whole foot, and the borax will not hurt your stone after you've done got it good and secured and tight and tied. You will lay it in the box on a bed of the borax, and then you will completely cover it with the borax and just let it dry. Check on it, make sure that it stays covered and that it's drying well. You'll want to check, make sure there's no mold or anything, and then once it's dry, it's dry. And that stone, you could use a golf ball if you wanted to, like a stone ball. You can use a chunk of stone, whichever you prefer, and once you untie it, it'll never let it go. It'll hang on to it. Now, I'm going to do 2 nails here. And if you notice that the nails drive a whole lot easier when you use actual wood. Now you're not putting the nails into the foot. You're putting it on the outside of the foot or the leg bone. You want to make sure that it's good and secure. And now we're going to stretch out the toes. You want to make sure they're good and secure, because if they're not, as they dry and shrink, you will lose them. Oops, I knew that was going to happen. And this one had a really good small spur. Bend your nails in a little. That way it won't rise up like it was trying, and this time it's good and secure. And you want to make sure that it looks good. I'm going to put 2 nails in the longest toe. And I want to make sure that it stays straight. Now, it's trying to go back this way, so that means you're perfectly fine not having a nail on that side. See, that's going to be really pretty on top of a walking stick. Or I might use it as a fan handle as well. I can do it either way. Oh yeah. And you want to make sure you rub that borax in there really well. And of course, once they're dry, I'm going to trim them up, make them look better. You just want to make sure you get plenty of borax in there. And this one's going to be a little bit harder because the spur is just a tad bit longer on this one. You want to make sure you get your nails good and secure, because believe me, it's going to pull hard as it dries. And you want to make sure that it's good and secure and that leg bone stays straight, because you do not want it to become crooked. also you want to make sure that the webbing between the toes is stretched out really good as well. But you want to make sure you don't puncture the toes or the webbing or anything, because you want it to look as natural as possible. Man, this thing had some claws on it. Now, you can also do this with regular domesticated turkeys also. You don't have to have a wild turkey. I think I'm going to put a couple more nails. You can't do overkill on this because you want to make sure that it turns out just perfect. And I want to make sure that these main toes, the longest ones, stay straight. And those babies, and you see how the borax starts pulling out. Now don't be surprised if this borax or any of your other borax starts looking moist. If you want to, you can brush that off and put fresh on so that it does stay dry. Now, I'm not going to attempt to do this at the moment, but when I put it in the tub, and we'll get enough on it at the moment. Especially down around that webbing. And of course, I'll get it off. You're going to want to get it under the feet as well, which it's still arched up some, but you can get it underneath it. You're going to want to make sure you get it completely covered from the underneath as well as the top. And I'll be doing that tomorrow when I bring my tub. Now, I'm going to tell you, you're going to want to put it in a tub. The wings, the tail, the feet, and the feathers. Because if you have dogs, they're going to try their best to get to this. If you have cats, they're going to try their best to get to it. If you have little critters like mice, rats, bugs, flies, they're all going to try to get to it. You're going to want to protect it, and that's why I say put it in a tub. And that way it keeps the critters away. Now, when you put this into the tub, you're going to want to make sure that you get plenty of borax underneath everything. Underneath it all. And then put it in the tub and cover the whole foot with borax. Just like you would underneath the wings and the tail. But it's going to take a couple of months, but it will be 100% dry. Just double check, make sure. If anything feels squishy, it's not ready. And there definitely should not be any form of odor whatsoever gonna make sure you want to make sure that it's now I'm gonna cover it a whole lot better than this. This is just to get it started because my tub's at the house, unfortunately. But I figured somebody might enjoy this information. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but worst case scenario with these claws, and when this dries, this is going to be concrete hard. These could also be used as protection as well, because let me tell you, those claws are sharp, and you might have to have them to protect you. Simple, easy, anybody can do this. I have been doing this for so many years, and I'm just thankful that I was blessed to have gotten the wild turkey carcass. And yep, and of course I'll bring you back later once everything is dry to show you what it looks like. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you find it informative as well, and that it encourages you to save the wings and the feathers of your chickens, your ducks, your geese, your domesticated turkeys, or if you're a hunter, you can save your deer legs from the knee down this way as well. Just cover them with the borax. Borax is good for many things, not just laundry and cleaning. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Now, of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comment section below. I will answer them as soon as possible. Everyone, take care, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Everyone, have a blessed day.